Okay.
Thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and call to order our meeting. This is the Town of Paxton Select Board. Today is Monday, April 22nd, and it is now 7:03 PM. We are in the training room at the Public Safety Complex. So first on our agenda, we have several consent items, and I will do as we have done in the past. There are 7. I'm going to read them off. If there are any objections, we will move them to later in the agenda. So, number 1 is to approve the meeting minutes from the regular meeting held on April 8th, 2024. Number 2 is to appoint Britt Clark as an associate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals with a term ending June 30th, 2024. Number 3 is to reappoint David Stoika to the Board of Registrars with a term ending March 31st, 2025. Number 4 is to approve a one-day liquor license for Seven Saws Brewery for Paxton Days Summer Jam to be held on June 15th, 2024 at the Paxton Center Field from 2 p.m. to 8 p.m. Number 5 is to approve a request from the Congregational Church to place a sign on the town common and along town roadsides for their yard sale and cookout to be held on May 18th, 2024. Number 6 is to approve a request from the Congregational Church to use the town common during the town-wide yard sale to be held on May 18th, 2024. And number 7 is to approve the updated list of exemptions from state ethics requirements as requested by the town clerk. Are there any objections? Questions, comments, concerns? No. Hearing none, I declare that they are all approved. And then we have an update from the Board of Assessors, and Kateri is here for us.
I am. Podium or here?
You look like you're well set up right where you are, if you like.
I am comfortable here. I think this is on. Okay. First of all, I'm very happy to report that we now have a board that is fully certified with DOR.
That's great.
It's been since the beginning of fiscal 18, since we haven't had 3 members that were fully certified to sign off on the tax rates. It's always been 2. Dee had 2 years to get it done. It was no small feat, but she got it done with a lot of technical and computer issues. And Glenn finished his within a weekend's time, so we are all good to go now. So I'm very pleased about that. So puts, this way we can all share the,
The workload.
share the logging in and signing off on things, so. Secondly, so I have the numbers, the sales numbers for '23, although we're just gonna start to do an analysis of them. So we had 63 total sales in 2023. Of that, 45 were valid, meaning they were listed, they were on MLS, they had brokers, they weren't private backside sales. We had, a fair amount of family sales, several private sales, 1 foreclosure. So those don't count in that, those will not be taken into consideration in our analysis. So far for fiscal '24, in the 3 months, we've had 27 sales, of which 11 are valid, and we had 1 land sale in which they're going to build a new home. So, and that's on Shenandoah. So a little slow to begin this year, but as soon as things are hitting the market, they're being bought. So
Yeah.
hopefully we see an uptick in that. Going forward the rest of the calendar year. Because sales are on a calendar year, whereas everything else is on a fiscal year.
Okay.
I am working on reviewing and visiting. I'm just probably going to be done with it by the middle of May on all the sales for '23. And I have cyclicals to do, and then we're going to start on all of the building permits that have been completed. That will be my summer work to build that growth. And speaking of building permits, we have some new homes in the works. We've got one on Turkey Hill Road, one West Street 477, towards the
Oh, yes.
end of West, Hopefully, hopefully those two, Turkey Hill and West Street, will be able to ascertain where they are as of June 30th and actually try and get some growth on the books for the beginning of fiscal '25. Shenandoah, they just started, so I don't anticipate seeing anything on that until FY '26. And one complete so far for fiscal '24 is 89 Davis Hill Road.
Yeah.
So, and I've inspected it, and it's a nice, really nice home. They did a nice job. So, but I wanted to kind of make sure everybody knows that on building permits, I know Heather puts out the numbers. When there's roofs, windows, siding, that's no growth. And I think there are those that think that there is growth from that, but there is no growth from that. Same with a deck. If you're replacing the deck and it's the same size, there's no growth from that. So unless you're changing materials.
Right.
But if you're going wood for wood, same size, it's really, you're just replacing rotted wood. There's literally no growth to the town on that. Unless they do a complete, we had a couple homes that did complete refurbs on the exterior, new windows, new siding, new roof, and they changed the, they went to like a composite cedar shake instead of wood.
Yep.
That's a big change.
Yeah.
So if it's something like that, we will see, some added numbers. But other than that, and there's a lot of roof permits. Last year, there were a lot of siding permits, siding, roofs, 1 or 2 windows. So we really don't see much from that. Because DLS looks at it as, there's already siding, you're just changing 1 for 1.
Right.
So, I've actually worked on many, many, many motor vehicle abatements this time of year. I've been pretty busy. And the time for filing all the exemptions is completed. So I have a total number on the exemptions for this year. It's 46,583.58. So that's all the veterans, all the senior work. We had 1 senior work off. We did have 6 new filings for veterans and 2 that increased from one amount to another, and that totaled 5150. But I am seeing more filings, so. And unfortunately, I had 4 that missed filings. And I called right up to the very end. I was making phone calls and leaving messages, and I just couldn't get them in. I even offered to bring it to them, and I never got a response.
Oh.
So that in and of itself kind of bothers me a little bit, but I did my best. So the last thing, because I know there's been a lot of numbers thrown around as far as growth, the value, growth in value, not growth in, we're adding new growth, but growth in value. And there was a FinCom meeting where one of the members on FinCom kind of threw out there, our values have only increased 2 to 3%. Not so. So I have from fiscal
Hold on,
'21.
Terry, we gotta open that door.
He's got some money.
I can wait.
Just a second.
Okay, we'll just take a
I can
brief
wait.
pause.
The law technically says open meeting, meaning you have to have access. You don't actually have to have the door open,
I mean, if we're concerned this happens again, we can always put a sign out there whenever we're meeting that says open, meetings open, come in. I mean, if we want Kateri to continue, I'm happy to go stand outside. I don't think anyone's trying to come into the meeting. I think we're okay
Yeah.
if we want to continue.
They were gonna open the door in a minute?
Yeah, he said just a minute.
Yeah, if it's just a minute, we might as well just.
Okay.
I told him we have to leave the door open. He's like, we'll be just a minute. Sounds like the guy's just about to. Not that I'm eavesdropping.
There was 2 officers that shot down Crown and Shield, so.
We could get a Bruins update while we're waiting.
Hey, Scott, he's got it on the screen in there.
Oh, he does, yeah.
Yeah. And this is part of the challenge of being in the public safety complex. There's sometimes business that will have to happen in the lobby, and we just have to share the space.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Terry,
All
you're
right.
on.
So anyhow, as I was saying, the increases in overall values, and this is just for single-family homes, so just residential. There have been significant increases over the past several years. FY '21, there was only a 3.1% increase. Starting FY '22, there was a 6.5% increase, and we added 3 new parcels. FY '23, the values went up 12.6%. And that's really based a lot on your sales. And we added 3 new parcels. For FY '24, it was 11.6%, and it was 5 new parcels. And the average values of, of the single-family home have increased exponentially with that. But I just wanted to make sure everybody's aware of that, because I was watching those meetings, and then I'm hearing incorrect numbers being put out there. And I have talked to Heather about it multiple times, but I felt that this was a good time for me to kind of correct that.
We appreciate it.
And my office does track sales. My office does track, numbers like this, the increases and so forth. One of the years, we had quite a few increases in the condominiums because they were all completed over there. So we
Right.
saw an uptick in that, but that's leveled out because there's nothing more to build and add over there.
Yeah.
So, but those values increased as everything was completed. So that's about it. Any questions?
Any questions for Terry?
I think so.
No?
No, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very
Donna,
much.
do you want my notes when
Okay,
you're good? Okay.
thank you.
They're all handwritten, so. And Kirk, just send me an email, and I will look it up. Because it's not just pulling up the house lot, I gotta pull up the road plans,
Okay.
okay?
All right. So before we go further, I just want to mention that we do have 2 executive sessions that are on the agenda for today. One is to conduct strategy with respect to collective bargaining for the police lieutenant pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21-3. And the other is to conduct strategy session in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel, being the town administrator's contract pursuant to MGL Chapter 30A, Section 21-2. And we will return to regular session only to adjourn the meeting after that. So under old business, we have an agenda item to continue the override discussion and any updates. The only update that I have is that DLS turned down our last warrant article, and so we will need to pass that over at town meeting. And we'll just have to reconvene a new meeting in the event that it does not pass. Anything else that you want to add to that, Heather?
Nope, I think that summarizes that, Julia. The only other piece is just a reminder to everyone, the more budget information sessions are going on this week. So if anyone has not had an opportunity to attend or they have additional questions, we have one on Wednesday, April 24th, from 6 to 7:30 PM at the Paxton Center School in the cafetorium. And we have one this Friday at 10 AM. That one's on Zoom. We tried to make it more clear that that's virtual. The meeting ID and the Zoom link is on the website. When you go to the town website, we've been working on this for a couple weeks now, so there is a link at the very top, FY25 budget. When you initially click on that, you also have the same links as you see on the side, so you can do it however you'd like. But you have just the general budget, town meeting info, FY25 budget documents, budget information sessions, school budget info, finance committee materials, and frequently asked questions. We've been trying to add to the FAQs each time. Some things require some outside information, and we try to massage them to get them to be complete answers and with all the resources before we post. So we will continue updating those. We had an information session last week. I think we had two, didn't we? It was
On Thursday.
my week
Yeah.
blurred together.
Yep.
We had the library on Tuesday.
Tuesday.
We had about 11 people for that,
12.
give or take. Oh, 12. Did you count
counted.
yourself, Carol?
No,
Oh, okay. If you
Counted
count
me,
Carol,
sorry.
it's 13. We had about 12 people, and then we also had, the chiefs were both there, Travis and Pam, which was great. And then on Friday, we tried to do the Zoom. We had just ourselves, unfortunately, and I talked to the fire chief earlier today. I don't think anyone showed up for
no.
Saturday session either. So we're really hoping that, people aren't showing up because they don't have those specific questions or they're getting their information from the website. But if you do have questions and the website does not answer them for you, please by all means reach out to us. I know the Landmark, I believe, did an article the other week. I actually am sitting down with Ken sometime later this week, I think on Wednesday, for him to gather any additional information he needs. He's been good at putting the information out there for folks. So we are trying to get the info moving, but if anyone has any questions or confusion or anything, let us know. We are already working with Roger as he's putting together the motions. I spoke with him the other day. I also just spoke with Jeff Cormier, and it looks like they're going to ask to pass over the recreation bylaw article as well. I don't think it's going to meet what they were hoping to accomplish
Okay.
with the legal revisions and so forth. So I
Okay.
think they said,
You want to go back to the
we
drawing
don't
board?
need to do that.
Okay.
I think they've decided they don't want to go that direct, at least for right now.
Okay.
So I did let Roger and Lori know that as well, so we'll update those pieces.
Okay.
But, and then the other thing, Julia, so I don't know at what point, whether it's tonight or at the next meeting, the select board wants to talk about having a date penciled in for another a special town meeting in case we need one.
Yep.
But it looks like because June is one of those months where we have people on vacation and everything else, and, having the moderator and town clerk available at the same time is usually a good thing.
Yep. Yep.
So the date that we're playing with internally, just penciling in, is June 3rd.
Okay.
So just so folks know. So if we have to come back, we have June 3rd penciled in where people are available. We have a timeline written out for that.
Okay.
Does June 3rd work for you?
Yes.
Yeah, I think the earlier the better, frankly.
So, yep. Okay, good. Excellent. Do you need a motion to that effect?
No, I think we're okay for right now. I mean, it's just, we're just having everything ready to go in case we need to change anything for those pieces. I did talk to the library last week, so there was a mistake made on the revised budget, where now that we're passing over that article, it's less crucial.
Yep.
But I'll sit down with Pam tomorrow and make sure we figure out exactly what it is, and then what we'll do is I won't update the warrant itself, but the budget that's on the FY25 budget document, we'll update that, and we'll make a notation underneath it. So if anyone looks and says, what's going on here? And if anyone was at home and they were bored and they weren't sure what I'm talking about, or they know what I'm talking about, what happened was with the children's librarian or youth service librarian in the wage line, the way they were coded, wages comes before the youth librarian 5103 versus 5104. But on the library detailed page, I had the youth services librarian second and then the wages. On the summary sheet, I had them reversed. And when I was copying formulas over, I inverted the two. So if you looked at it really quickly, you would think we were trying to reduce hours of the youth services librarian.
Yep.
And as you can imagine, that's not what I was trying to do. Is literally one of those flip-flop typo things that we didn't catch. So
Yeah.
good news is we found the error.
And they're fully aware and okay.
And they're fully aware. So we're all set with that. And like I said, I will make that correction. And I think there was one other thing that I didn't do correctly that we'll notate on that page. So people will have it.
Okay. Okay. Next up on the agenda, I have select board correspondence. I don't have anything else. You guys have anything? No?
No, we have a guest, I don't know if,
Yeah, so you want to go to public comment first, just in case? Gary, anything? No? Okay. You sure? Going once, going twice? Okay. So I do have some correspondence. The first is from Department of Environmental Protection. It's a very nice letter commending our DPW director, Travis Tebow. And it says, "Dear Mr. Tebow, the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection, Mass DEP Drinking Water Program is pleased to extend its congratulations to the Paxton Water Department for its outstanding performance in 2023. Your system has achieved one of the top scores in the consecutive community system category of the 2024 Public Water Systems Awards Program. Mass DEP realizes that it is no easy task to keep up with the ever-evolving federal and state drinking water regulations. Your compliance efforts have not gone unnoticed, as have your efforts to go above and beyond compliance. Mass DEP encourages you to continue this level of excellence in carrying out your work of protecting and supplying safe and fit water to our citizens. We look forward to seeing you at the awards ceremony on May 9th, 2024 at the Devon's Common Center. If you have any questions, you can contact us and RSVP to the awards ceremony. So
That's great.
that's a wonderful
Yeah,
thing to hear.
achievement.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, next I have a letter from Roberta Breen, she's still chair, right, of the ZBA?
I believe so.
And she has asked that this be read into the meeting minutes of the select board meeting, according to her note here, so I will do that. It says, "Dear select board members, I am writing to express my support for Heather Monroe as town manager. In my role as chair of the Zoning Board of Appeals, I have worked with Ms. Monroe on the Zoning Bylaw Review Committee, and I have found her to be pragmatic in her approach, committed to the work, and effective in keeping the group organized and motivated. I also believe that Ms. Monroe brings critical, relevant experience to the role of town manager. Experience from outside the community, which allows best practices to be shared and implemented. This also translates to the advantage of being able to observe objectively and find new solutions to recurring problems. Difficult financial times require out-of-the-box thinking and changes in how things have been done in the past. I believe Ms. Monroe brings that balance to the town, and in this time of financial uncertainty, a long-term town manager can be far more effective." So it was very nice of her to write. Obviously, we have a town administrator, not a town manager, but I think that the sentiment remains. So, thank you, Roberta. And then lastly, we have something for Donna. Do you want to bring it to her?
No, come up and,
Donna, come on up. For Administrative Professionals Day, we very much appreciate all the hard work that Donna puts in and day out.
and I appreciate you guys.
And constantly putting up with us and all of the joy we bring.
You do.
Fixing my grammar.
It's not enough.
Donna does an outstanding job, without a doubt, and I very much appreciate having her. We are blessed, frankly, that she is in the position that she's in. So.
Agree. Thank you.
All right, town administrators report.
So we're working on the budget. So our primary focus has still been getting all the materials for the information sessions, making sure staff has whatever they need for those pieces, as well as we're getting towards the end of the year, so we're keeping close eye on the budget. Everything seems to be going well. I'll have a updated budget report for the next meeting. Donna Kuchar thought it'd be good to take vacation last week, so it was very nice that she did, but she's not back, so we don't have finalized numbers on the payroll. If you go online, you're reading the report, you'll see it says WOPR, without the payroll.
Okay.
So I like those updated reports, the bi-weekly ones, because they give you a better idea of where we are with the, the large part of our spending. Once we do that, I'll plan to do for the next meeting an updated report of where we're at. I believe the next meeting is probably going to be at town meeting, isn't it? So I'll make sure that the TA report for that one is online in advance, in case anyone wants to review it, has any questions, because we haven't been able to do one in a little bit of time. But everything's been looking pretty good on finances, where those pieces are. Folks are starting to do a few more internal transfers, just things that were hanging out. I know, like the fire chief just did one today because we had the extra money left over in the ambulance lease line and so forth. So just trying to clean those pieces up and get a better handle on where we are with things. Otherwise, just, business as usual, trying to wrap things up, diving into the bulk of the work for the grants that are outstanding, trying to wrap those pieces up, and we're also going to be entering full throttle into procurement season for the DPW. So that is what we're working on right now.
Okay, very good. All right, so with that, I have nothing further. Any of you have anything further? No. So.
I'd just like to say,
Yeah.
following up on what Roberta said, thank you, Heather, for working with that group and bringing
Absolutely.
it forward.
Yeah.
Appreciate that.
I've heard from a couple people that how just excited they are about how this process has gone. I actually had a conversation with someone today, and I was involved in the last rewrite, which apparently was like 18 years ago. And I remember what a process that was.
21.
Yeah.
That was last revision 21, the big one.
So, thank you.
We should have those, the goal is to wrap up the grant-funded work by the end of June, actually before the end of June, so we can get everything submitted. And then we'll use some of the planning board hours we get through CMRPC to do some of the hearings, because, each of those bylaws has to, kind of grouping them together. We have to get them before the planning board for information, as well as planning board has to have their public hearing on it, make any changes and so forth. And the goal will be to have them ready for special town meeting in the fall. Not that we have one planned, but we should have one planned.
Yeah.
We have a lot of those zoning bylaw pieces, and we'll break them up. We've talked about the differences between putting them all into, one article, which is too bulky, or breaking them up into kind of either their own pieces or a couple things grouped together, so that if there's any specific debate to hold them, that would make more sense to do that. But before we get that far, once we get through town meeting, we'll be coming before the select board, because we still need direction from the board on some of the major pieces, including but not limited to the zoning map, as far as, what's in what district. And I think that's a huge direction for the town, and something that the select board most definitely should weigh in on before it even goes before the planning board.
Okay.
So that will be up and coming.
Yeah, that's good. I'm excited to see what comes out of that. I think it's a huge step in the right direction, so.
Yeah, they've been needing to revise for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like Kirk says, 18 years, so.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Although when I was talking to this gentleman, I said, yeah, I think it was like 10 or 12 years ago I was involved in that. And he's like, it's been 18. Like,
Time flies when you're having fun. All right. So, with that, I have nothing further. Just double checking. Nobody? Anything? Okay. So, I will then accept a motion to move from regular session into executive session, returning to regular session only to adjourn the meeting.
so moved.
Second.
And a roll call vote here. All in favor, Kirk?
Aye.
Carol?
Aye.
And I will vote aye. So we'll have a brief recess, and then we will go into executive session.